All right. On today's episode of Air Curious Podcast, Brent and I are apparently going to argue about a topic that he disagrees with me on, but I have no idea why. And
that's what makes it fun.
yeah, it just should be a good time. At the end of the last podcast, he said something that got my attention and had me thinking about something. And he said, inside of 50 yards, he's a threat to anybody on the planet with a pistol. He's going to get it done.
Unless they shoot USPSA every weekend.
He did make
if
a
they're
conditional
every
statement.
other weekend guy, they're in trouble.
But I didn't think about this as like a dick measuring contest fucking thing. Like, I understand your ability.
No, you knew what I meant. Like, 50 and in, I'm comfortable.
When I was working a contract in it was either Mauritania or Senegal. I can't remember. I think maybe Senegal. We were comparing old haunts because I was in Ches, and I remember you being like, do the Red Bull challenge, do the Red Bull can challenge. And you're like, you're like, shoot, we just shoot Red Bull cans at 25 yards all the time. And I was like, what kind of black magic are you guys doing when you're shooting Red Bull cans at 25?
Our concealed carry on that deployment was still 1911s, by the way.
I love this for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I laughed because I was like, okay, we'll try this. It's much harder than you expect. But it did put me in a mindset where I started doing more longer range pistol work. It actually made me better accuracy-wise up close in terms of consistency. Have to really work on your fundamentals if you're going to hit something at 25 or further. Yep. Then I bought a Staccato XC, and I was shooting out to like 150, 180 with a pistol, and like, well, this is crazy. And all the dudes on the team were like, dude, we don't need to carry rifles anymore. I was like, calm down.
Yeah, calm down.
That bullet is going about 30 feet per second by the time it hits the steel, you know?
Yeah, it's still a lot easier to shoot a rifle at distance than a pistol, too.
But what I was thinking about, which is why we're going to get in an argument, is I see a lot of vet bro dudes. Like, we were talking about carrying guns in our trucks and, like, what the purpose is. And I'm like, I carry a carbine in my truck, but it's like, I'm not intending to use it unless something goes really fucking pear-shaped.
Yeah, I do it fully. I put my seatbelt on every time I get in the car.
I don't, but yes.
I don't get in, not every time. 9.9 out of 10 times, I put the seatbelt on. I've been in one car accident on a public roadway, and I was drifting when I was in high school. So I don't even know if that counts at that point. However, I'm still putting the seatbelt on. So
I get your point.
Odds are I'm never pulling the carbine out of the truck.
And 100%, the topic of conversation today isn't about whether you should or shouldn't carry a carbine.
Right.
The question is more about mindset. And so a lot of the guys that are like pitching carbine work on the internet are like, this is defensive carbine.
Can we say thought process, not mindset?
Sure, because
okay.
mindset's gay.
Yeah,
okay.
The whole mindset thing's gay. But
thought process behind all of this. Also, I just want to point out, like, Zach's design computer is up right now, and it looks like a fleshlight.
It is, I think.
I was like, is that a metal fleshlight?
It's the Reptilia metal fleshlight.
I'm very confused right now.
Serrated opening.
So yeah, CAD drawings of odd accoutrement. But yeah, the thought process behind carrying the carbine, you see guys do this whole defensive carbine class, which I get inside 25 meters.
In your house.
In your house.
Yeah.
And I also understand like carbine manipulation, like learning those skills.
Sure.
But the act of carrying a carbine, choosing it as your weapon of the moment, and then engaging a target past 25 meters is no longer defensive, in the sense that I'm not like in a life or death situation where I have to draw and burn a dude down to protect myself or my family. I've made a calculated decision that I'm going to engage someone who's outside of my threat zone. I mean, unless they too have a carbine. But we're in a weird position, right? Like, our wars, the majority of the engagements I got in were me setting the terms of the engagement. I wanted to bushwhack dudes. I wanted to take shots from a long way away. That is offensive.
That's fully offensive, right? It may have been articulated as a defensive whatever.
Our position was about to be compromised, so I decided to shoot a guy at 1,500 meters.
But to your point, I think that the idea that inside of room distance, like pistol distance, is a very easily defendable position for like defense.
Like
Legally, you
Kyle
can say I'm
Rittenhouse
defending myself.
it was a defensive use of a carbine while he was laying on the ground. Another guy had a pistol. Somebody's trying to hit him with a skateboard.
Yeah.
I get why he was able to defend his position
Yep.
in that. But
Well, I think if we zoom out, so if you zoom out and you are not Kyle Rittenhouse,
yeah,
we're gonna get skewered by the internet. If you didn't show up
Kyle's
to
a very nice boy.
if you didn't show up to a protest intentionally, so in our case, typically we want to be left the fuck alone.
Yep.
We're driving with friends and or family or both. I guess that's and or. We're driving with friends and or family.
We see some pro-Palestinian protesters blocking off the highway.
Yeah, somebody is impeding your way out, or like civil unrest has taken place. I think there's an argument to be made that if I'm going from where I was on a vacation or work trip to my home, and you are not allowing me to do that, and you're pursuing me violently as a mob, that mob can be 100 yards out, and now I have the standoff.
With the intent, I mean, if this looks like Bravo,
This is like full
if this looks
doomsday
like Bravo
bullshit.
2-0, like
Yeah.
the entire population of the area is chasing me for a reward. Okay, but I mean, like, I'm not fighting out of my truck with a carbine in a U.S. situation. Like, I will definitely, if I'm downrange or working, like, obviously, I'm not coming out of the truck with my pistol if I have a carbine staged up. I'm going to go for a rifle. I will always choose a rifle over a pistol in that situation. But for me, the defensive mindset of like having the carbine is more if I'm going to be separated from my vehicle. So like if I have to go on foot, and now there's way more question marks. Like if I don't have the most dangerous weapon that I have is my car to begin with. Like hitting people with it is far more
Yeah, and
effective.
driving away and mobility is like your number one, right? So I would say that if the situation on the ground in our crazy hypothetical scenario has devolved to the point where I'm leaving my vehicle in place.
Now I have a carbine.
And now I have a carbine. If the world is in that situation, I don't know if I'm worried about arguing the legality of the 100-meter shot.
But I definitely don't think about like the thing that I think bugs me the most about this whole deal is this idea that every single thing you learn to do with a gun as a civilian is somehow defensive, when there in reality is.
No, I would be very offensive. Like that meme where it's a movie and the dude's like mag dumping into a car and it's like me on the first day of the apocalypse with the first person I see. 100%.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. It's like, this isn't me saying I don't have a healthy taste for violence. It's more, I don't want to end up in a real life reenactment of Shot Caller where I spend the rest of my life in prison as a
you're too
a
pretty
reluctant
for that.
white supremacist. Like, looking for somebody to take care of me that, won't shank me in the shower.
Yeah.
But I don't like, as we talked about, like there are like real bright lines in legality on what is and isn't acceptable. So like, I don't think anybody cares what gun you use to stop somebody when they come into your house. That would be a defensive use of carbine or shotgun or hammer or whatever you want. But when you're teaching guys distance, like middle distance engagement skills and calling it defensive carbine, I'm like, I don't see that.
So when we talk about the vernacular that's used for shooting courses, I think this is why guys like Matt Pranka, who we're friends, we're pals, he gets super
One of one. Matt does not have many friends.
he does actually, but
I love that I said something about how I knew he'd roast me if I took a class. He's like, "No, bro, I actually like you," and I was like, "What? My heart swells." I was just ready for you to shit on me about everything.
Where like, "No, that motherfucker hates me." You're like, "Oh no, he actually he doesn't have bad shit." No. So Matt will get on guys because it's like, and I actually agree with him. Shooting is shooting. Pick your distance, your rhyme, your reason. If I can get my gun out in a second and put rounds on target accurately at 15 meters, that applies defensively, offensively, on patrol as an LE. Like, you put that shit where you want it.
Yep.
So I think a lot of the defensive, offensive vernacular,
it's semantics.
It's a bit of semantics, but it's also a bit of like a marketing thing. Unless they're actually talking about the legality, like the legality behind that, which I would guess is I've never gone to a course
I feel like it's super unexplored.
Correction, I've gone to one course when I got my North Carolina CCW. We walked through all of the shoot, no shoot, can't carry in a bar, all the legalities behind that. And I think it's not talked about enough from guys who actually know the thing, right? Like, I don't think Ryan Kleckner, he's a big firearms attorney. I don't think he's a big like defense attorney when it comes to shootings. But a guy like that, that's a pro-gun attorney, talking about the legal uses of force and what case law has established as lawful, unlawful, and where your left and rights are. I think that would be a great place to talk defensive shooting and offensive. And then maybe you can illustrate the point based on case law of, hey man, at 50 meters, we can't call it defensive shooting or whatever the distance is.
I think like legally, is what we talked about earlier too, where it's like you're going to have to defend yourself one way or another. And when you're pulling the trigger, when you feel like your life is in danger, we hate the freaking jock talk quarterbacking, like when you're on target and some dude's like, well, why'd you shoot that guy? Or like the colonel's like, the guy was surrendering. And you're like, no, he wasn't. He had a gun in his hand. But you were watching from a, ISR platform.
I've never had that talk, but I've heard people have.
You are familiar with the idea that such a thing happens. That when you're doing that without ISR or when there's like security cameras watching you or whatever else, there's no way to know what the prosecutor or the judge involved in the case are going to interpret from that or how they feel about use of force cases. So it's like, I'm not saying don't do the thing ever because you're afraid of the consequences of doing the thing and therefore lay down and die, like it's like, cool, you should fight back. But also, I think that like the law in this is fairly flexible depending on your location and jurisdiction.
Well, and the scenario you're in, right? So if you are in that pursued by the angry mob because of however that escalates, right? So during the George Floyd riots, I believe it was in Texas, there was, I want to say, an Air Force veteran who shot another veteran, and maybe the guy who got shot was the Air Force veteran.
Okay.
But he got shot through the windshield of a vehicle that they had like stopped, and he was a protester with a gun, and some other dude smoked him. And that other dude
from
was
inside the car?
From inside the car. And the guy inside
Raymond
the car,
Davis type situation.
I gotta Google. We're gonna have to Google it and add it in the post.
It would be cooler if it was Raymond Davis.
It was not Raymond Davis. You ever talk to him?
No, you haven't.
He's fucking cool, dude.
Well, you gotta be pretty damn cool if you spend a few years in a Pakistani prison.
He's pretty fucking cool. Like, his story, I've got a lot of respect for.
Call us Raymond Davis. We'd love to have you on the AR Curious podcast.
I'll text him and see if he wants to come on. Right. He actually keeps a very low profile, and I believe last I talked to him, he still taught shooting, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean he's good at it. If anyone is unfamiliar with this guy,
just Google Ray Davis.
You should Google
Pakistan.
it. Yeah.
Last time I talked, well, the first time I talked to him, I don't even remember how he got introduced, but he was talking about he hadn't fired his gun in quite a while, like 6 months, but he dry fired daily dry fire guy. And he was like, oh man,
it'll make you a GM.
Dude, his shooting.
Right on point. It was a bad day to drive a tuk-tuk.
Yeah, bad day to be a tuk-tuk driver. You got me so sidetracked with that one.
You were talking about the guy who shot a protester.
Yeah. So you're in that. You have your family. You pull up into a protest, and now you have protesters with guns, which is an interesting topic if you put yourself in either of those shoes. Because as a guy who's like a staunch Second Amendment supporter, I think you got the right to carry. I think you have the right to carry that gun at the protest.
I think you're escalating the situation.
Now here's where it gets weird: is when I'm sitting in the car and you are holding a firearm and stopping me.
I really love that you're demonstrating driving a car like this.
Yeah, that's how I drive, man. I'm driving and you stop me with a firearm and you're not a
representative of a recognized authority.
You're not a person that looks like they are non-combative. Yeah. Like, you're with a fucking mob and you stop me and you've got a gun.
Was it the pink hair or the guy that gave it away to you?
Yeah. There's a high likelihood that I'm like, all right.
How do you think that the projectile performs terminally after going through
the
the
glass?
glass and then into
When I
a heavy
shoot the
mass
glass
of like
enough, it's
soft
not
flesh?
there, yeah, to stop anymore. But it changes the scenario, right? So if you are him, if you are in that scenario, and you could change that and be like, maybe they're stopping all vehicles and getting people out, right?
Yep.
And you're like, oh, okay, cool. I got 3 kids, wife, a dog, and a gun. I'm
Yep.
not turning any of these things to these people. Honey, you hold the leash. Kids start walking. Now I'm out with my rifle, and now they start to advance on. Like it could get squishy in. That's not even a fake scenario. That's a real scenario. If that dude is shooting people through his windshield 10 cars up, and I'm 10 cars behind, I don't know if I'm waiting for them to get to me before I exit the vehicle and take off if we're like stuck ducks in a row type
Yep.
of thing. So do I think it's a high likelihood scenario? Absolutely not. I full well load up that firearm knowing that, one, I don't want that to happen, and two, very low likelihood of happening. But I do think that there is probably a scenario where there is a relatively longer defensive shot.
I'm intrigued in this because even in close situations right now that involve tussles, like hands-on stuff, everyone's very quick to tell you what the intention of the dead person is.
Yeah, and you have no
how'd
idea.
You didn't like they weren't trying to kill you, and like you killed them, so you're a murderer. And I'm like, look, I can't read minds. If I could, I'd probably still be married. Like I feel like that's your soundbite for the
Yeah.
But like people telegraph their intent, and once you go hands on, when things start to get faster, there's no telling what somebody's thinking.
Yeah.
And so like if you are afraid for your life, you can probably defend whatever action you take.
Yeah, I think it's a defensible position. I would argue that if this dude in Texas, that happens 3 cars back where these people still have a mob around them, if they just saw a guy walk up and shooting take place, I bet 3 cars back they've got a legal justification to get out and be like, nope, my family and I are going to move, and if you impede that movement, you're getting some.
Yeah. And I mean, but even at that point, it might be self-defense, but it doesn't strike me as defensive shooting. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's more of a, much like people maneuvering on your position from a relatively long ways. If that is a real threat and that's really taking place, I think the defensive part is an articulation.
Agreed.
I think where it becomes defensive is in the doomsday scenario of like, what are you gonna run out of first in the apocalypse? I'm gonna be
my
like,
batteries are dead.
no, it's my neighbor's stuff, right? Like now it becomes an offensive question where it's like offense is like, I'm imposing my will upon you to take from you or move you in a way that, is offensive in nature. I think that's where you cross that threshold.
Yeah.
Which has a time and place, and that's really off the rails apocalyptic, like, oh, okay, cool. Now like your car's my car because I'm out of gas. I think that's where you cross into offensive. But when you're like, no, you people doing your thing, I want no part of that. I'm leaving. And they're pursuing you, even if that pursuit
Still
distance
defensive.
is 100 meters, 200, I think it's still defensive.
2 sound opinions in one day from an Irish cop. Look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
With no huge friggin' guy.
I don't know. I feel like something that I feel has ebbed and flowed over our lifetime is the alarmist nature of the way training is presented. Like you'll see certain guys that'll like teach like you have to do this to save your life kind of thing, and then you come back down to like more practical marksmanship, and then you have like the end of the world is coming, like Y2K. Hey, you need to train up to do this stuff, and instructors are kind of selling an emotional response. During GWAT, it was a lot of like, hey, how do we do CQB? Like you guys, like, well, first of all, you
don't.
clench your butthole really tight and fucking hope that everything goes right.
Step 1, raise your right hand. I have for quite a while bought into the theory that whatever you're doing as a skill can be applicable other places. So like shooting, if I have my druthers, I'm gonna call Casey Sabio and be like, hey bro, what are what are your tips on shooting, right? Or like, can I get a lesson? You know, can we train? That's who I'm gonna go to because he's the fastest pistol shooter in the world. When it comes to driving and racing, I literally trained with professional race car drivers multiple times because they're the fastest. They never drove in Afghanistan.
Yep.
I don't give a shit about that. I want car control, right?
Yep.
And now I'm taking it out of the rear-wheel drive V8 car and I'm putting it into the four-wheel drive Toyota, but it's still
car
apples
control.
to apples, right? It's
Yep.
car control. And so for shooting, the gap that I see in shooting isn't whether people are shooting in defensively or offensively, pistol distance, rifle distance. The gap that I see is in use cases for that person, right? So if you're a police officer, you have a pistol on you pretty much all the time. You don't always have a carbine, right? Military, guys spend their entire careers without carrying a pistol. So,
And if you do, it's really just to get in the chow hall easier.
yeah, exactly. So I saw a comment on there's a bill introduced. I forget the congressman that
To get
introduced it.
all veterans to carry pistols.
To get soft guys. No, it's a concealed carry
concealed carry.
permit, right?
I saw that.
Which is interesting. And
The comments alone on those posts will tell you that it's never going to happen. Because it's a split of people being like, veterans can't shoot, and also what makes them special, the Second Amendment applies to everybody. And I'm like, oh, look, even people who agree aren't going to agree on this
yeah,
one.
exactly. So one of the, and I've decided that I'm going to take this this fight up. I'm a really bad shooter when you compare me to Casey Eusebio.
Yep.
I can outshoot 90% of firearms carrying professionals, I would argue, with pick a gun.
I would say it's probably a higher percentage.
Let's call it 80%, right?
No, I mean, I think that you are in the 99th percentile of end users for weapons writ large.
Writ large,
and you might
including
get rusty.
all law enforcement, all military,
Yep.
right? But I'm a like average to above average guy at MARSOC, right? And so
We've had this discussion, but you guys value
we value
shooting
marksmanship
a lot.
But I would, if you like take me away, if you look at, I would argue that for pistol shooting, Green Berets, if we're just going to whitewash,
We're the worst.
You're the worst.
Yeah.
Arguably, you guys train with the pistol.
I think Whiteside SEALs give us a run for their money, but like we're competing for last place.
Yeah, you're competing for last place. You guys are like deadlock tie,
Yeah.
right? But what I will say is that you guys with rifles, I have not seen, and I've worked with a shitload of Green Berets, I've never seen a Green Beret with a rifle and been like, that dude is a liability with a rifle, right?
Yep.
It might get rusty on CQ, maybe not the best at CQB or like whatever the
I thought
thing
you were going to
is.
say we wouldn't clean it and it would get rusty.
Yeah.
It could
Yeah,
be.
maybe that. But here's the distinction. One, you can qualify with a rifle. You guys can carry one safely and like operate and manipulate it safely. And this goes for all soft that I've seen. The last piece is you've signed on the dotted line and at least volunteered to go into harm's way with that rifle to do bad shit to bad people. So you've checked 3 boxes that are important to check to be like, oh, this actually kind of makes sense to allow these guys to carry all 50
I think
states,
that the
et cetera.
argument is not about letting people do a thing, but removing the prohibition from doing the thing. Does that make sense?
Who dare?
It's DoorDash. We got lunch. I love this.
I agree with you. So it's more about removing the prohibition, but I guess I wanted to go on a tangent where there's this thing that I've seen that USPSA guys are like, soft guys are not as good as USPSA
100% true.
M's, GM's, et cetera. 100% true. I'm a average-ish soft guy with a pistol, and I'm a B-class USPSA shooter. So
I get really excited when I shoot B class.
when you shoot B-class,
when I shoot
yeah.
B class, I'm like, dude, I feel accomplished.
But it's not apples to apples. So yes, we should be shooting our pistols more or really rifles more. And that's a weird standard because I've done in a lot of missions where I didn't even have a fucking pistol on me.
Middle distance marksmanship is the black hole of skills that no one works on in the military.
Yes.
And when they go out and they do middle distance, unknown middle distance, You watch guys being like, I can't hit anything. And you're like, that's
Yep.
crazy because you don't know how to shoot your rifle.
Right,
Like,
they don't, and that should be their primary.
Yep.
It is their
number one
primary
thing
system.
you should be good at.
I guess my point is there's like a weird thing where the jujitsu and the shooting hobbyists have now kind of like co-opted soft guys because we're like kind of hobbyists in that too often. And they're like, oh, I roll with a Green Beret. They're not good at fighting. I'm like, if you take your average Green Beret against your average American, that American's gonna get fucked up.
I like rolling, but I also don't like doing gay things like filling out a checklist of all the things that I'm supposed to do while wrestling. So I'm going to be a white belt for the rest of my life.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess my point is that the level of training, is it top 1% in the world? No. Is it top
Generalist.
15, 20%?
Yeah. Being an 80th percentile generalist in soft puts you head and shoulders above
and you're doing it
conventional
across a bunch of
counterparts.
different things.
But you conventional guys will say the same thing, like, oh, fucking soft's not even good at this thing that we do. You're like, yeah, man, you're the best at street fighting, seizing terrain, holding terrain. That's not what we're good at.
Right, and each part has their own thing that they should be better at.
These are all the arguments though, right? Like, oh, you guys will never be ready for drone wars. And you're like, no, I will never allow myself to be pinned down without mobility in Asia. In a trench war. Like the second that you guys try to slow down the advance of this military, we're going to flank, move, maneuver, establish air superiority. You're right. I would not be excited about getting blown up in a trench by a drone.
War, with bolt guns. Like, nah, that's not the thing.
I'm also not volunteering for that, and I'm not allowing the enemy to force me into that position. So when people are like, well, you guys aren't good at stuff, and it's like, yeah, man, like I have a proxy force. Like, you're right, I'm not that great at CQB. But I'll tell you, I've only cleared houses a couple times.
The 50 guys
with
you pushed
just
in
my
front
dudes.
of you?
Yeah, I've literally blown doors and been like, everybody go on in. And then I come behind them and make sure that they're not just hosing down every room, like grab a guy, hey, calm down. You know, like my job is herding cats in a host nation's language, making sure that they're learning the things that they should be learning, force multiplication. His heart, that's not that sexy.
No, it's not that sexy, but if we just, if we strip away all of the semantics, you still are competent with a rifle.
You have to be because you have to demonstrate competence
demonstrate the
to
competency.
your partners when you're teaching them. But very rarely are you going to be the best. You have to be able to understand the basics. You have to understand how to teach the basics.
Have you ever had a partner force where somebody was better at anything than you?
No.
Okay.
I say that cavalierly. ICTF was every bit as good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As U.S. forces at
a bunch of things.
Very high level. But they had literally had it drilled into their heads year over year in an active combat environment, and they literally look like little Iraqi versions of soft guys.
Yeah.
Their affects were the same.
They
dress
wear
the same.
same.
They do everything the same as you. They talk the same way.
Yep.
Like,
what cracked me up was their sense of humor became the same, and that was something that
Same
I
jokes,
never.
bro.
Yeah, same exact jokes.
which is hilarious when you realize that they're like cultural. They go against cultural norms, and you're like, I really love that you just told that joke. Like,
Well, yeah.
but I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I certainly not in Africa.
I had a really great partner force in Africa.
But that's not what you asked, is it?
No, none of them were better than anything.
Yeah. Competent though, like I've had nothing but good partner forces in terms of like their ability to learn certain tasks and complete them. I have pretty positive stuff to say about every partner force I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed the time with them, which is probably why I like being a Green Beret.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like,
Well, because that
it's
is the
rewarding for
job,
me.
right? It's not, it's not a job where you're doing unilateral CQB.
If it was a job, I don't think I like it as much.
It's a different beast.
And I know that a lot of people see this ladder in soft where they're like, oh, you start here and you end here. And I'm like,
I don't think it's a ladder as much as like, and maybe it ladders up to some degree, but I've seen some great guys that were good unilateral tier 1 operators that were horrible with partner forces.
Yeah.
Like a lot of that.
Well,
actually.
I'm not sure, but they're not selected to do that. And
That's not their
it's not
core
really their
tasking,
thing.
yeah.
And honestly, I only saw that in a very small niche of working with them where I was like, doesn't matter if they're your partner force or fulfilling some other capacity for you. still it's human interaction.
Yeah.
And like you,
That's where it falls off usually.
yeah, where they're like, you do this thing for me because I told you to, and you're like, it's not going to work out that good for you, man. Like you got to build
Yeah.
some rapport, you got to make them buy in, feel like there's a value to what you're teaching, and then like get them excited. And for me, one of the best parts about being at GoRuck and Softly was that the universal rapport builder everywhere I went was, you guys are out of shape and we're working out together. And like going out and doing daily PT with them, it's organized, and like getting them to compete against each other, establishing kind of like what the pecking order was in the organization, and kind of encouraging the slow ones and rewarding and recognizing the guys who are actually
Faster
putting
guys.
out really hard.
Yeah.
And being like, okay, and then the esprit de corps that comes from working out together, suddenly they're happier to be at work, and then
Yeah.
they see you as the dude that like solved this problem that they thought was unsolvable.
Yep.
And then everybody gels and life happens.
Yeah, what's always funny to me is the immediate, you said it, but like hierarchy that happens, and also partner forces booting guys out.
That's what I like.
That
I like
didn't
that there was a
hack it.
hierarchy that existed.
Yeah.
This has happened to you too?
Oh, yeah.
I thought this was like a one-off thing.
No, this has happened with every partner force I've worked with.
There's a guy who was like ostensibly politically appointed to be in charge, or put himself there because he was wealthy or something. Like there's some,
No, I don't mean that. I'm more talking about having PTing with the partner force, and then the partner force now either like pushing the guys that were fat and slow
Yep.
off to the side, or straight up kicking them out of the unit, or putting them on remedial duty. That's happened in like
they work in the kitchen now. Yeah, I've seen that.
literally every partner force I've ever worked with.
I'm mostly interested when they kick out their management.
Yeah.
When you have a dude who is appointed, and when guys get good at something and are actually proficient and have value, they're like, we don't want that leader anymore. Like it's not a democracy per se, but like if the dude adds no value to the organization and is stealing money from them, which is the usual.
Happens every time.
Yeah, the usual place.
Yeah,
It's
it happens in
interesting.
America too. We just call it that's not stealing.
Yeah.
The lobbyist that paid him.
I like that, when you're watching payday happen, and it's like, one for me, one for you, two for me, one
I've
for
never
you.
seen the stealing that dramatic.
You know how they do it, like at least in my experience, is they steal the money, they absolutely draft it out of their subordinates' accounts, and they claim that it's a fund for something, like, oh, we built this clubhouse, this movie theater for you.
Yep.
But there's no accountability on where the money goes, and the commander drives a brand new Mercedes, and
Where I've seen it happen is the commander goes, hey, you pay me, and then I pay my guys because
Yep,
they're my guys.
that's it. Yep.
I've seen that. I've never seen like the divvy paying out the individuals. Where I've seen it when we paid the individuals was
surprise.
It was always in logistics. Where it was like, okay, you're paying for, whatever, the fuel, the meals, et cetera, and then there isn't the thing you needed. It happened a ton in, it was probably the worst in sub-Saharan Africa
Really?
that I saw it. The first like JSET and CNT, the guys would regularly like show up to the range having walked there, and we're like, hey man, it's like 8 miles from your headquarters to the range. Why did you walk? And they're like, we don't have fuel. Like, bitch, we pay for the fuel. What do you mean you don't have fuel, right? That was where I saw it the most. Was
that 70s? Did they have those? Where was that? Was that in Senegal?
Yeah.
Yeah. You had the sweet little
the LC-79s.
LC-79s. Those are
Yeah.
sick.
I had a troopy there.
Mauritania had those too, and like just going out and ripping in the desert, and that was pretty
Yeah.
pretty great.
But no, so back on our topic, defensive, offensive, I don't think it's a distance. Distance isn't the driver, it's the scenario around it, right? So if we talked about last episode, I saw this post of guys that had shot somebody in a
Yep.
good shoot, they did prison time. Most of those were in entangled, like, we're fighting and I have a gun and I pull it out and shoot you, and it was deemed a homicide, negligent homicide, manslaughter, whatever the charge was that landed that guy jail time. But he was defending himself and did it successfully, and thus ended up with charges, which is an odd, it's an interesting thought process.
What's
to me.
even more interesting when we know how easily you can get killed with somebody's fists.
Oh yeah,
Like-
on accident.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You gotta edit that out.
no, he's not guilty, bro. It's
No, but 100%.
but it took years for him
It goes
to become.
fisticuffs.
Yep.
You stick a guy and don't kill him, and he falls and hits his head and dies. You're liable.
I know.
So that's a two-way road.
So when somebody starts throwing
so somebody
bows
could
at
hit
you,
you, knock you out, you fall over and die.
yep.
But we have an odd deal where even if you are legally defending yourself, if you kill the person who started the thing and attacked you,
But he only uses his fist.
but he only uses his fists. This is why I think we need more mutual combat in the world.
Ooh.
You know, like every bar needs like an octagon.
Doesn't every like dude who tries to look tough talk about mutual combat in Texas? It's like a real thing.
Is it a real thing?
I don't know.
I remember at one point, Bill had found that trial by combat was legal in like some state that he got a speeding ticket in, and he tried to get an attorney to file a motion for it, and they
Trial by
refused.
combat?
Yeah, it was like some weird shit that was still on the books from way back in the day. And he's
I'm gonna
"No,
select a
this."
champion.
Yeah, exactly.
His name is Alan Shabaro.
Yeah, he could have totally made that up. I never backstopped that, but he told me he did it. But no, it's weird to me that if somebody escalates to a point of physical violence on you, you're beholden to the threshold at which that stops.
And how
it's
how
fucking
do, how,
weird.
But how do we know where the threshold ends? Like, you don't know what their intent
You
is.
don't. That's the aggravating part, or what could happen, right? Or
I showed Michael a video this morning of it was like kids hanging out in a parking lot, bunch of corn-fed looking kids drinking soda, not even like beer. And some guy walked up who had done some
oh, I saw the
dirt
same one.
to the guy's sister, and
Yep.
he turns around and cleans
Knocked
that
him
dude's
the
clock,
fuck out.
and then he picks him up, sets him on his feet as he's still locked up from
Yeah.
getting knocked out, and knocks him down again.
Yeah.
I was like, what a gentleman. But
a ge-
also, once you got knocked out, like his clock was clean, and
Yeah.
he's laying on the ground. That dude's will was to pick him up and do it again because he was so mad at him. But like,
Where does it stop?
am I allowed to
right?
defend myself? Is this dude gonna kick me until I have like internal bleeding? Am I gonna be in the hospital? Like, will
Yeah.
I be a vegetable? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because on a recent Softly podcast, I was talking about how bar fights are, a good thing for younger
And bad.
military personnel.
Yeah.
And here I am speaking out the other side of my mouth. Right?
Well, we all got into them.
No, everybody got into them, and we didn't shoot each other
Nope.
or stab each other.
It's ironic
them.
because like I was talking about this the other day too, like the use of force thing. Like, I've been in plenty of fights with a knife in my pocket
Yeah, same.
where we've boxed and or like fought aggressively, and I've never in my life been like, you know what I should do?
Stab this guy.
dude.
Yeah.
Like, just don't think about it like that.
Yeah, same. I mean, but I think that's because it was like the mutual. You've agreed to a social contract of like, hey, we're gonna go to fisticuffs.
We're really
like,
mad at each other for something stupid.
something retarded.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're gonna slug it out over it. But then we're done. There used to be that. I don't think there's that much anymore.
What do you think changed?
I think it started happening less frequently, and so people don't know how to deal with it. Like
I can see that. I mean, it feels like the social contract has changed.
The
But not everybody has unsigned themselves.
Yeah.
It's like us leaving NATO, maybe. And like, but no, we haven't really notified anybody. We just kept sending some messages, but other countries have started making overlapping treaties now to protect themselves just in case.
I think in schools, the zero tolerance policy
Yep.
changed it.
Because there's real, like,
Well, when you're
punishment.
a kid, like, you're fucking invincible when you're in fourth grade, right?
And
so,
your frontal cortex is undeveloped, and yeah.
like, you can bounce off the concrete and walk away, right? Like, you don't, not to say that a kid's never died from a fist fight in fourth grade, but it was pretty rare. And when we were in grade school, you saw fist fights
almost every day.
regularly, at
Yeah.
least, right? Like, it wasn't you saw one. I don't know anybody who didn't see a fist fight that's our age.
So what you're
in
saying
school.
is a lack of bullying has created
I don't even
a
think it was
greater
bullying.
problem later.
I think it was the idea that you would be expelled from school if you defended yourself in a fight. And then I know talking to other people that probably had kids or that did have kids before I did, now there's a zero tolerance policy. Like if you put hands on another kid,
Yep.
it's over, even if you're defending yourself.
It wasn't necessarily that bad for the boys. Like they got into some scuttlebutts,
Yeah.
got a little trouble.
In school.
Yep. Little
Yeah.
little trouble, but not like big trouble. And also my idea of big trouble is probably skewed. So
That's fair.
Yeah.
But I think it happens less and less as a child when
Yep.
their consequences are very low. Like you have two 60-pound kids swinging it out, very low consequence. You and I are over 200 pounds. When we swing it out, like bones are broken, you fall and hit your head, you're 200 pounds hitting the ground. Like
Yep.
there's real consequences there. So I think when you take away the familiarity of it, it becomes this like crazy big bad thing. And now there are people who understand a need for self-defense. They're carrying the pistol, whatever. And so they're like, yeah, I'm not going to enter this social contract, but I think I can defend myself because
Because I carry a gun.
I
now.
carry a gun. And that's how that took place, right? And that's
I didn't
all
go to jujitsu, but
Yeah.
Samuel Colt made me equal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be my guess, is that's kind of how that happened. But there's still places that happens. I mean, for every bullshit clickbait thing I see talking about a guy who's going to jail for a good shoot or defending himself, dude, you see fights on the internet all the time where they walk away, right?
Yep.
So,
Well, and that stuff's escalating now too. It's like almost like seeing random mass breakout fights going, and like everybody showed up to just throw down, but one dude's got a gun.
have you seen that?
Yeah.
I haven't seen those.
Dude, but it's more like youth oriented.
So I've seen a lot of youth like,
Where they'll be on a street, there'll be like some sort of concert or celebration or something, like, and everybody's out for this deal, and
Yeah, and a
it
fight
turns
breaks
into a
out, and then a
fight,
gun-
and it's like a big old fight, and then somebody breaks a gun out and starts randomly shooting, and then it's like, you're like, oh, I didn't show up for that.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what
I
I
just
mean?
wanted to get punched.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of the like youth that are like, I don't even know what you would call it, like a light riot, like a semi riot, where they're like jumping on cars.
The takeovers.
It's like a takeover. A takeover to me was like a street corner, and they're taking over an intersection
Yep.
or whatever and doing donuts.
Doing donuts and strikers.
In Charlotte, they're taking over like shopping centers and like jumping on top of cars and
Really?
like, going nuts.
I don't know how I'd respond if I saw that.
When it's a bunch of kids, it's weird.
I'd want to leave.
I would leave for sure.
It's kind of like when we were in DC, we were at that one restaurant, and all of the Chinese dirt bike gangs come by, like a bunch of dudes on 4-wheelers and dirt bikes and like popping wheelies and do whatever.
Yeah.
On the sidewalk, in the road,
Yep.
stopping traffic, and you're like, well, I'm just going to eat my dinner. And
Yeah,
then
like they're
gone.
just gonna do their thing and then they're gone,
Yep.
right? And I guess when they're on the bikes, they kind of have a purpose. Maybe I'm biased because I like dirt bikes, so I'm like, yeah, fuck it. At least they're on.
I think it's
something.
kind of cool that they're learning how to do good. Like they're going to be good at that stuff. I guess that I would definitely wreck, which sometimes they do.
Yeah, they have a purpose, right? Whereas the like mini rioting, where they're just like destroying
Destruction of
property,
property.
you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
But I mean, like, I don't want to be involved in that. And that gets back to like the whole defensive
Oh, yeah,
thing where
leave
it's like,
thing.
hey, I'd
Yep.
like to leave, but also I feel like my desire to leave may conflict with your desire for me to stay.
right. I'm curious.
But you're definitely not going to get off icing some kids that were
Oh,
like
you
jumping
smoke
up
a
and down cars.
16-year-old jumping on cars, you're going to jail, buddy.
Yep.
But I haven't seen the videos that I've seen. They're like jumping up and down on parked cars in a shopping center.
Now people trying to like leave.
Yeah.
I see a lot of weird road rage these days too.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the road rage video where it's two dudes that obviously do jujitsu?
No.
They like get out of their cars and have like a very obvious jujitsu
Like
tussle.
positioning.
Yeah, on the side of the road, and then just kind of like flip each other off and walk away with nobody
see it.
having been hurt.
Didn't see it going this
You're
way.
like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. Yeah, we're off on a bit of a tangent now.
I mean, I think it all applies in the grand scheme of things. I think that like this goes back to like what we talked about vetting your instructors and not being sold a line of bullshit. Like,
I think you find a guy who is a good shooter, objectively good shooter, who's a good teacher that's teaching to your brand, right? Like, or not your brand, but like he's your cup of tea. Like you learn well from that style.
A basic degree of proficiency is the first important part
Yeah.
before you learn about the scenario driven, like how to employ something.
The scenario stuff to me, in the context of an individual in the US, should almost just be like a lecture from an attorney.
I agree with that.
I don't see a ton of value in scenario based, like, hey, let's sit here and talk, and then I'm gonna go for like, if you like that and it's fun and it's like jiu-jitsu with a sim gun, okay, cool, but I think you would get plenty separating the two and understanding the legal implications of like getting tied up with a guy.
Yep.
Right? I think that the training has to fit the way that you learn and, you know, your cup of tea. So like if you want to get berated, sure, go take a Matt Branca class, right? If you don't and you want to be cheerleaded, like I don't know who that guy is that is like the very positive.
Who is it? Pat? Probably.
Casey's actually super positive. When he maybe he's just gassing me up, but
He's always been so nice every time
he's
I talk
always
to
so
him.
nice.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I feel so stupid, but when a few times I've been going to like a local match and I'm like, I know the best pistol shooter in the world. Why the fuck would I not text him? But it's also totally like a little kid getting their first car and texting a NASCAR
He's like
driver
legit
they know.
famous. He's
Well,
legit.
he's literally the best shooter in the world for the last decade. But he'll give me nuggets that he gave me 3 nuggets, and I think about them every time I go to shoot. So if you can do 2 things at a time, good. If you can do 3 things at a time, it's even better. Increase gun uptime,
Yep.
right? And then I'm trying to remember what the third one.
Nice.
The third was.
If you can do 3 things at once, but you can only do 2.
No, yeah, it was like
You can't remember the third one.
basically if you can do multiple things at once, do
Yep.
it. Increase your gun uptime, and I forget what the third one was. I keep them in my notes and I look
If
at
he
them.
watches this, he's going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, he's
in
gonna
you.
go, what the fuck, bro? Third point, best shooter in the world. You didn't listen. What I remember of the 3 is that they're universally applicable. So if you're talking about shooting a local USPSA and you're like, hey, you should increase your gun uptime. Yes, right? You're talking about clearing a house, doing CQB.
Yep.
Yes, the more time your gun can be up on target, ready to do the thing, absolutely. PRS, same thing. Behind a sniper rifle, same thing, right? Like the more that gun is up on target, ready to shoot, the better off you're gonna be. So I think when you're looking for instructors, 1, a high degree of proficiency is great. 2, them being like the cup of tea with the way they deliver knowledge is great. And then 3, look for universal principles of shooting.
Not just sport specific or activity specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are sport specific things,
If you want to be good at the sport, those are beneficial. It's not that they're
but they're
bad.
not towards shooting typically.
I think a lot of the stuff that goes into USPSA is sport specific.
Like what?
But you're still learning how to be a better shot.
Well, but like what?
I think so. I think that when you get to the point where you're trying to get better at USPSA, you're trying to do 3 things at once.
Yeah, for sure.
And most people should be focusing on doing one thing well to begin with and then introducing a second thing. So it's like, you're right. If you can do
okay.
2 things at once, it's good. If you do 3 things at once, it's even better.
Yep.
But introducing footwork to someone who doesn't understand stance well yet, who has significant accuracy issues due to not having it drilled in as like a muscle memory.
Footwork, like shuffling and all of that.
Well, I mean, moving and putting on the brakes, like understanding that you can sprint quickly, then you got to break it down. But there's athleticism that goes into that, and I'm not good at it. I look clownish.
You know what's funny is it's in short bursts, but the athleticism is universally applicable as well, I would argue.
I think so, but I think combining athleticism and stability, like shooting for someone who hasn't shot before, is overwhelming. This is why you see people who shoot USPSA at a beginner level moving slowly, having inefficient stage plans.
It's task saturation, but you see that in any sport.
Yep. Which is why I say
But it's also not shooting, that's moving.
Yeah.
Right? So the only times that I see USPSA, the shooting is incorrect is in the priority of shooting or not shooting. So you'll see there's a penalty called a failure to engage, an FTE, where basically if you shoot at something and miss, that's a lot less of a penalty than not shooting at it.
Yep.
So there's certain stages where you'll see the pros will literally like shoot in that general direction, even if they can't see the target, and it's considered engaging the target, and then move. It's very rare, and then they'll move on from it. Or the order of precedence for shooting is shooting far to near, which in a,
But this
you
is
could argue
literally,
is not it.
this is like a Belgian Malinois.
Okay.
In the sense that, like, they are good dogs. And when you see someone who spends a lot of time training the Belgian Malinois, you're like, man, I really think I want a Belgian Malinois. But we are not Belgian Malinois owners. We don't spend a lot of time tiring that dog out mentally. Like,
Sure.
we might take it for a run, we might play with it, but that dog is going to be like, my owner's dumb and he does not challenge me. You're talking about the gaming aspect of competitive shooting, which, because they're so good at the basics
Of shooting. Yeah.
that they've started to add layers and layers of gamesmanship onto it, because they're like, hey, we can trap up Casey.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think he's going to deal with this? And because the scoring structure is based on who shoots 100%, like the best shooter is 100% and everybody else is afterwards.
Yep.
They can make it as hard as they want because the best shooter sets the bar and everybody else comes under.
So what I will say is when the guys are at that level and they're really wargaming exactly the how and the why of when they're going to shoot, where they're going to shoot, et cetera, and their stage planning really starts to matter, at that level, the shooting runs on autopilot. I mean,
100%.
I'm a B-class guy, and I don't really think about the shooting.
My brain turns off. I'm like happy with an Alpha Charlie here too.
I think I can shoot. I think I get into A class if I quit riding dirt bikes as much this year. Like, it's a Sunday. Don't want to go ride the dirt bike or go shoot some guns. I'll take the dirt bike.
I'm assuming you're probably sending some A-class classifiers intermittently at this point.
I think I have 2 that are like a point off. But they were.
You're right there.
And they were quite a while ago, like at the beginning of last season, and I progressed. But I shot last season shooting production, and I qualified at the beginning, and then didn't qualify at the end of
Master
the season.
reloader.
You are?
No, you are shooting in production. Did they get rid of the 10-round?
Yeah, they got rid of the 10-round thing. And like an idiot, I shot my first 2 matches last year. Capping myself at 10 rounds and didn't realize that. It came off like April 1st or March.
Dude, that's
1st
literally, that was the biggest reason not to shoot production, was that you're like a 17 reload stage.
I liked it because I've never been a great reloader.
It'll make you one.
So it'll make you better at reloading. It makes you better at stage planning. And so where the wheels fall off for me in USPSA, this is way inside baseball, by the way, but the wheels fall off for me on remembering where all the target arrays are.
Same.
And reloads. I'm
trying to minimize my number of shooting positions. When I do my walkthroughs, I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. This looks like 4 positions, but I'm going to shoot it in 3 based on engaging targets that don't look like they're easy. Like, I try to.
So if I memorize where I go to shoot, where I come in and where I exit, if I can do all of that, I will try to plan so that I can't forget a target. I can't memorize 20 targets and then my brain's not.
But my brain shorts as soon as the buzzer goes off, and so then it's.
What usually happens is if I come in and there's and it only happens at matches like Tilly's Place that are like field stages that are psychotic.
Have you been shooting Tilly much? Have you been shooting at Tilly's?
I've shot his probably 6 times last year.
Dude, that place, those are the most grueling USPSA stages.
But what'll happen is I'll hit all of my positions, and typically in one stage of the day, sometimes 2 stages of the day, I will have a failure to engage a target on an exit. So like I come in, I shoot all the targets I see, and I forgot that I need to step one more foot to see that target, and then that fucks your whole day, basically.
I go one stage at a time.
But it's funny because you'll see like the tactical guys are like, this isn't realistic because you know where the targets are. And I'm like, nah, bitch, I forget where the targets are.
Me too.
All the time.
Me too. Like they're right here in front of me, and I can't
They're right
remember where
there,
they're
and I
at.
still forget them. Yeah.
But I think all that stuff is good practice. I think that's the best way to learn. I think that understanding, like we said, get a lawyer to give you a talk.
Yeah, so
on
it's
what's
the
legal.
skill in isolation, and
Yep.
then you figure out the why of the defensive act with an attorney. Like,
Yep.
can you shoot somebody in your house? Can you shoot them on the front door? Do you have to retreat, right? Can you protect? We have one kid's bedroom that's closer to the door than
We
our
need to
bedroom.
bring a lawyer on this podcast
should.
and like just be like, let's ask some wild ass questions because they're used to hearing them.
Yeah, we should.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I called my attorney the other day
Is he a
because
criminal defense attorney? Or are you talking
no,
about Tim?
he's an IP. Oh, Dad. Tim is the criminal defense attorney.
We should have him on
Dude.
if he'll do it.
He would come on.
Would he come on?
Oh, for sure.
Is he in New York?
I think he lives wherever he fucking wants.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's in the reserves now again too. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I see him in uniform a lot.
Dude, we should get him on.
Duh.
And just drill him with retarded questions
About John
legal
Gotti.
shootings.
I'm like, so tell me how this is. But yeah, no, I called a guy and I literally was like, you'll be so proud of me. I'm calling to ask about the liability of something I'm planning on doing before I do it, not after. And he was like, look at how much you've grown. It's not being like, hey, so a bad thing happened and I'm going to need your help. It was more like, hey, how concerned should I be about taking this action?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you're fine.
I went down a rabbit hole on figuring out the difference between assault at a misdemeanor level and assault and battery at a felony level.
What is the difference?
I'm not an attorney. However, my understanding is that if you do like actual damage to somebody, you step into the felony realm. Meaning like
So soft hands?
Like if I break your nose,
Yeah.
I'm stepping into the battery realm and a felony realm.
Really?
Whereas like a very offensive and slightly painful slap, it's like really hard to get more than a misdemeanor.
So we just got to slap everybody.
Or spank them. Like think about how demeaning that is to a grown man you're in an
Just
argument
turn him
with.
around
And you're like,
and just
just smack 'em.
you would get a very interesting reputation.
Yeah.
Serial spanker.
Hey, this is just a misdemeanor.
This hurts me
You
more than
can't
it hurts
punch
you.
Also, they probably won't even call the cops. Like they're gonna call them like this guy.
This guy
This guy rolled me up and spanked me and told me that my parents should have done this.
Self-defense advice with Brent and
Yeah.
Doug. If there's a rash of serial spanking that comes out, if dudes like take this as real advice, I like
Brent said I could spank other men and not go to jail.
and not go to jail. At that point, is
You have
that
to dictate that it's not
is that
sexual.
sexual assault?
Yeah, you have to
This
dictate
isn't
that it's
sexual
not.
in
It's
nature.
purely not sexual.
As you'll notice when I forced you across my lap, there's no erection. Oh my gosh,
That'll be
dude.
edited out, I hope.
I hope not. That's making me so. I'm so happy.
Is that a
about this.
wrap?
Yeah. So there you have it, straight from the source. Don't go to a gun. Spank your opponent. Don't know what we'll talk about next week. Probably not a lot of anything productive, but chime in if you want to hear us have ridiculous thoughts, which is our forte.
Yeah, it's fair.